Hello everyone, it's me, Anthony Couch, a guitarist on YouTube. This is going to be quite a vulnerable moment for me, this video, because I'm talking about something very, very specific, and you're going to see a warts and all representation of what I'm getting at in this video. A lot of the time from students and also comments, especially when I do the live streams and I do some improvisation, I get asked this question: what's going through your mind when you're improvising? I'm by no means a master improviser. It's a lifelong pursuit for any musician. But I think, we're all interested in how each other thinks. There's a chord progression. Are you thinking of each individual chord? Are you thinking about a scale? How do you map out where you're playing on the neck? What's going on in your mind when you play? We're all interested in that kind of stuff. So if you've got any insight on how you improvise, what goes through your mind, let me know in the comments down there. But this video this footage that you're seeing now is one of my favourite ways to practice. I get a looper, which is an excellent piece of kit that I recommend every single guitarist uses. And I'll put a chord progression in there, and then I'll play over the top. And we like to affectionately call that noodling, the annoying noise of guitarists playing incessantly. That's what we do. That's how we build technique. And that's what I like to do. But, it is improv. This kind of practice is important because there's the kind of practice where, the phone goes away, the telly goes off, you're fully concentrated, the books are open, the metronome is on, you better be using a metronome. That's this kind of practice. Then there is performing, playing, on stage, or even just saying to yourself, I'm going to play a song now to myself. That's this side. In the middle, there's got to be a crossover, and that's really what this video is getting at. This kind of playing, this practicing, this improvisation, where there's a lot going through your mind. You're trying to think about a lot all at once, and it's how you bridge those two kind of thought processes together. So this chord progression that you're hearing now is D minor, B flat major, C major, F major. They're all derived from the D minor scale. So I suppose here is the first thing that's running through my mind, especially for those first, couple of minutes with a long improvised noodle session. I'm mapping out the neck. I'll find a note and then I'll think, okay, now muscle memory kicks in and I will play the positions without looking at the guitar. I find that really helps me. It's a bit of a weird one. I wonder if I'm on my own with that one. But I really like to practice this kind of playing without looking at the guitar, because I'm building that mental map of the guitar neck for two reasons. Number one, so I can look at an audience, at a potential audience. They don't want to see me staring at my guitar all the time. But more importantly, because it makes it easier for me to then think about that being in E minor. I don't want to be biased or get too used to dots and non-dots. I want to be able to feel the relation between this shape and then to this shape and beyond. Then all I have to do is simply move that up and down accordingly to whatever key I'm in. So that is at the forefront of my mind when I'm improvising. I'm mapping out all the positions. Some people see those as modes. Some people see them as the caged system. Some people see them as the 3-note per string system. there's the pentatonic shapes as well. And then, to a lesser extent, although you see it as this video goes on, I start to struggle with this as arpeggios. I'm still working on this, mapping out the arpeggios of all those 4 chords across the entire neck and knowing where I am at any given chord. But that's a work in progress, and you actually hear that in the backing track later, where you can tell that I'm out of my comfort zone and I'm ignoring the backing track because I'm trying to work stuff out on the guitar neck. So there's a little bit of this kind of practice again. It's veered away from this middle ground, and I've gone over there and I'm letting the loop carry on. One of the biggest other things that I'm thinking about during an improvisation is target notes. Target notes are so important. So important, in fact, that I'm going to do an extra little Patreon video that talks just about target notes. Goes into a tiny bit more detail, gets a bit more specific than what I'm going to do now. But I am going to go into a bit more detail now because let's say this is in the key of D minor, this backing track. That means that D is a very strong sound over this entire backing track. So I'm trying to plan ahead. The audience is listening to the music here, and I'm trying to think about my little resting points. The dot to dot, you know, there's a D, and now I'm going to do some fun stuff to this target note here. Let's say it's another D, and I do some widdly 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 in between there to reach a D, sometimes with a bend, almost certainly with vibrato. At the very least. So then what that has to make me think about is if there's the target note, how much space have I got relative to what, you know, the music is ticking along like this. I'm having to think about all those runs and scales, all that stuff that I've practiced for years with a metronome, all that shreddy stuff. You know, if my target note's here, I have to know when to start that thing, and in some cases you start it too early or too late, so then you have to account for that by backtracking or something. Whoops. Oh, so, okay. Then you backtrack and then you reach your target note, or the other way, you start it too late and you think, oh, my target note on that strong beat, so you just cut that short. I'm thinking about as well all my sequences that I've been practicing, all the little patterns, not necessarily shreddy, but certainly thinking about intervallic leaps, keeping them in a nice sequential movement. That's the kind of practice that I did over here in the proper practice, and now I'm trying to integrate it here, so then I get the holy grail of being able to bring it out the bag during a performance when I'm improvising. You know, it's funny, isn't it? We practice improvisation by practicing licks and runs and scales. It blurs the line between improv and composition, I suppose, in a weird way. Anyway, there's a lot going through my mind when I'm improvising and when I'm doing this middle ground improvising. Sometimes I'll be a bit freer with it and I won't really care about what I'm doing. I'm just using muscle memory and experience. But then other times I will bring a bit more of this side of the brain into it and think, right, now I'm just going to do arpeggios. That's when I crash and burn, but you know what? That is the sound of progress. That old cliche, if you sound too good, then you're no longer practicing. That is a pitfall of this kind of practice. You set your looper and you sound amazing, and you're going around, and you come away from it, and all you've done is reinforce the stuff you already knew. So you have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and keep the mind ticking over as you're playing. Don't do too much thinking about it. Do a lot of practical music theory. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. You're all incredible. And I want to also extend some Special thanks to these names who support me on Patreon. You're going to find an extra little video on Patreon. You do for every video over here, since I started it anyway. Thank you so much. Buy a looper if you don't already have one. And improvise. Switch your brain on. Don't switch off, switch your brain on. And improvise until the cows come home. And then play some improv for the cows. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.